when you enter a formula or function into a cell, after you close the cell, you get a result, you get the outcome of the calculation. However, if you make a syntax error in the function or formula, you see an indication which starts with the hash sign. The hash sign is that character right here, and you can type the hash character by pressing Shift and the number 3 on your keyboard, the number 3 that is on the top left area of your keyboard. So when instead of getting a result, you get something that starts with the hash sign, you have made a mistake. The hash sign is followed by the name of the error to understand what you did wrong. In this lesson, I will show you the most common errors so that you can easily understand what the problem is and be able to correct it. In cell J2, there is the value error. This error appears when you try to perform a calculation that involves some cells which do not have numeric values. I'll double click on J2 to open it and notice that I'm trying to add cell B2, which has a numeric value, with A13, which does not have a numeric value. Obviously, I cannot get a result by adding the number 554 with December, so the value error appears here. Therefore, when the value error appears, I understand that in the calculation of the formula or the function, there are cells, one or more, that do not have suitable data to perform the calculation. To correct this specific error, there are two ways. Either I need to put a number in the cell that has the non-numeric value, which here is A13, or change A13 in the calculation to something else. I will press Escape here, and I will go to cell A13, type 100, and press Enter. Now the error in cell J2 no longer exists. I will undo and open J2 again with a double click, and I will change A13 to B13 because maybe that's what I meant to do, and I will press also Enter here. The error was also corrected. So when the value error appears, it means that there is a cell or cells that do not have valid values for the type of calculation you want to make, and you need to make some changes as far as this is concerned. The second error I want you to look at is the name error, which appears in cell J3. This is an error that occurs when a cell is not written in a correct way. I will double click on cell J3 to open it, and notice that the first cell contains a Greek character, my own native language, and the second cell has a name which is not valid. The name in the second cell could be valid because I can name a cell with a name of my own, but this is a topic covered in the advanced lessons course, so I will not go into that. For the error at hand, I will replace the Greek character with an English one, and I will replace the other name with something valid, let's say with B3, cell B3 for example, and I will now press Enter, and as you can see, I get the correct result. Generally, the name error means that I have used one or more cells whose names I have not written correctly, and that's why there is this problem. As I said, those of you who choose to continue with my advanced level course of Excel will learn that you can name individual cells or areas of cells with your own names, so writing a wrong name can happen for that reason too. The name error can also appear when you make a mistake in the function itself or in the way you write the function or generally your formula. Look what I mean. I will go to cell H4 and I want to use a function that calculates the maximum of cells from B2 to B13. From the editing palette, I will open the sum tool and select max for the maximum function. I will select the range B2 to B13, and let's suppose I accidentally delete the column that indicates that this is a range of values. I will press Enter, and you see that it gives me the name error, which generally means that I have written something wrong. I will double click on H4 to open it and insert a colon between the cells and press Enter, so the mistake is corrected. I will now write the function incorrectly to show you that I will get the same error. I will open the cell H4 and add an extra x at the end of the max function, so now I have written the function incorrectly. I will press Enter, and again the name error comes up because the function is written incorrectly. So the name error means that there is some mistake either in the cell or in the range of cells or in the way you wrote the function. The next error I want to show you is the division by 0, which appears in cell J4. This error is relatively simple to explain. There is a division operation with the 0 as the denominator. Look at the formula bar. I'm trying to divide C5 by M4. However, M4 is empty. Therefore, such a division cannot produce a result. Here, I either need to change M4 in the calculation or change it to another cell that contains a number that is other than 0, or I need to enter a number other than 0 in cell M4. I will do the latter and put the number 10 in cell M4 and press enter here. Now this specific division can be performed. So if you use a cell as the denominator of in a division and that cell doesn't contain a number or contains 0, then in this case it throws the division by 0 error. So you can understand that something like this has happened. Now let's move on to the reference error that appears in cell J10. Ref means reference here. The reference error appears when you delete cells that were part of a formula. Note, when I say deletion of cells, I mean total deletion. Not just erasing the data from inside. In that case, the empty cell is just treated as 0 in the calculation. To explain what I mean, I will do the following. I will go to cell H10 and type the equals cell E8 plus E9. So I just want to make this calculation here, E8 plus E9, and I will press enter here. Okay, all good so far. I will now select cell E8 and press delete to erase its content. Notice that in cell H10 I don't have any problems. The empty cell is just considered a 0 in the calculation. However, I will now select the entire row 8 and right click to click on delete and erase it. Now I get the reference error in cell H10. Well, it's H9 now because I erased one row. As you can see, it replaced the first part of the calculation where there was cell E8 with this ref, indicating that there was a cell here that I completely deleted. Cell E9, which was the second part of the calculation, became E8 to align with the current data after the deletion of the row. Excel recognized the deletion and didn't take the cells that resulted from this deletion to proceed because it can't be sure that I wanted the formula to be modified like this. So when you delete a cell or cells that participate in a function or a formula, then Excel gives you the reference error and you need to go and correct the cells that have been deleted. Meaning I could say that here I want it to be E7 plus E8. But Excel can't be sure of that, so I have to go and correct that. So by pressing enter here, I have corrected this error. Let's finally look at cell J10. This is an error you have already seen in previous lessons, which involves the hash marks that appear when the numeric contents of a cell cannot fit into the width of the cell at that moment. The only thing needed to correct this problem is to increase the width of the column so you can see the data. I remind you that this only happens with numeric values. I will reduce the width of column A, and here because the data is text and not numbers, I don't get the hash marks. Excel's logic is that if a number or a date cannot be fully displayed, then it will not be displayed at all, while with text this is not an issue. The reason numbers and dates need to be fully visible or not visible at all is to prevent the misunderstandings. I have already mentioned this in previous lessons, but it is important, so let me remind you. For example, in cell J10, if I reduced the width so much that only the first 5 places were visible and Excel showed me only these places, I would see 1,4551 at a glance without clicking into the cell to see the actual value. I would think that there was the number 1,451, while the number is much different, and that's the misunderstanding I told you about. The only thing needed to correct this error is to increase the cell's width or change the formatting of the number of or date so it fits within the available width. You can reduce the size of the font, and that can also solve the problem. So what you need to remember from this lesson is that there are various types of errors. The name of each error means something, and the errors always start with the hash sign. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.